Google. Let's go get them again.
Welcome back to another episode of Sampling Samples. Today we are delving into the brand of Valentino and their Uomo Born in Roma line. This is a flanker to their ever expanding Born in Roma series, which is, I guess that's their flagship now. Forget Uomo Intense and etc., which was a great line, and they are really delving into, well, let's call it a spade, what it is, the kid line of Valentino. Unfortunately for me personally, it's not speaking to me. I have Intense, but we are going to talk about Extradose here. Extradose. Valentino, in their brief, they said it's inspired by a night in the Eternal City. Okay, well, obviously that's Rome, as per the name. Extradose. What are you trying to do? I know you're trying to set a trend, but you have to have, I think personally, I think you need to have an extraordinary fragrance. And I mean that by sales wise, to really get a new name out. I think this is what Valentino was trying to say, that forget elixirs. We are going to call it Extradose and it's going to catch on. I don't think it's going to catch on, guys. I don't think it's going to work. I've only smelt one Born in Roma, and that was the Intense, which is right here. They got a very, very lukewarm review from yours truly, and that was a few months back, so it's kind of fresh in my mind, but I was not impressed by this. The Uomo line, the standard Uomo line from Valentino, much better, and always, I mean, longevity, projection, scent profile, build, you name it, it's better, I think, personally. Sadly, Valentino is going into this generic teen scent profile a la Jean-Paul Gaultier, Rabanne route. So let's see if this one gives us anything new to the game. This is a 2025 release, so this is part of this channel now, 20 new releases. And, you know, I don't have a ball in the game in regards to being an influencer. I don't get free bottles. These brands aren't my friends. You know, they send me emails less and less every year because I keep saying no. I don't need your free bottles. I'm not interested. I don't want to be part of your promo group. So you're going to see a lot of fragrance reviewers, and some of them that this is their taste, but you can really gauge your fragrance reviewer with their library of fragrance reviews. You know, and what they actually like and what they move on from. So if you're new here, welcome to the Robezoe channel. I'm your host, Mark. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button for my work. I spent my own money on this little sample. This is all me, and you know, both things are free. I don't have like one of these things that you can get videos ahead of everybody else and pay me $10 a month. No, I'll give you some content. It's free to subscribe, it's free to hit like, and you're helping me out, and we're getting, you know, a real voice in the community again. That's all we want, right? So to my returnees, welcome back. Some of you may be interested in this. Some of you are just here for the giggles. You can put that, and again, just because I didn't like this doesn't mean I'm not going to like that. You've seen me do countless reviews. I have thousands of videos on fragrances, and yes, it has happened that, you know, the first 3 fragrances from a line, you know, garbage, and then woo, oh, where'd they go with this one? They just flipped it on us, and it was really, really good. So you always have to have that open mind, but my intros are exactly what have you done for me lately. This is what I've smelt. Let's see what this one gives us. Now let's go under the hood. Let's take a look at some stats on this one, and then let's get into the scent profile. Now, released in 2025, so it's a brand new release from the brand of Valentino. The nose, two-headed monster. And what do I mean by monster? They are both very talented parfumiers. Guillaume Flavigny, Antoine Maisondieu. Resumes both impeccable. Yeah, they got some that they just do them for the paycheck. It is their jobs. So, you know, it can't all be art pieces. It all can't be you know, things that will inspire these noses. Sometimes you just got to do the flavor of the month. I totally understand that. So, but we have all-star perfumiers, which perks me up a little bit, just to see what they can do with this DNA. Now the notes, let's take a look at the note breakdown. The standard 3-note breakdown on Fragrantica. So spicy notes up top. Thanks. That could be anything. In the mid, we have lavender. Okay, lavender is big right now. It is. It was never gone. You know, you could go back. It's in a very old note in perfumery. It's a great note. It can be handled badly by some perfumiers, but I think these two will not make it smell like a dryer sheet. That's the big knock on me. A bad lavender, a good lavender and a bad lavender, you know, it's one of those notes that there's a big leap and bound. Like when you get a bad incense, it's just like, okay, it is what it is. But a bad lavender really irks me a little bit. It just smells like dryer sheets, and I immediately think of cheap. It'll smell like Fabuloso. It's gonna smell like floor cleaner. So I have that correlation in my head. It is my head that's telling me that this is a bad lavender. It's a cheap lavender. And then in the back end, we have woody notes. So really, Valentino is not giving us anything in the note breakdown. Yes, note breakdowns are for marketing purposes 90% of the time. So it's not, you know, the whole truth, and you know, they're telling us everything that's in here. It just means your favorite fragrance reviewer, if they are a technical fragrance reviewer, they're just gonna work a little harder because the cheat notes aren't in front of you. Aha. So let's get into it. Let's see what the big notes are in this fragrance. So on to the big notes on this one, and it's all three that I mentioned. Spicy notes, woody notes, and lavender. Hopefully I'll give you a little more in-depth of what kind of woods, what kind of spices we're getting, but it is definitely lavender-centric. So I am wearing it as my scent of the day today, but we're gonna dab here, and we are gonna go like this, and we are gonna remind myself of the introduction before we discuss it. Oh yeah. Let's close this. We are launching it. Kobe. Went under the door, I get an extra 2 points on that one. Okay, so Extradose. Valentino Uomo, born in Roma Extradose. Starts us off as generic can be, with an unlisted bergamot note with a ginger note. So there you go, you're getting a little bit of zing there. Yeah, so generic bergamot. Nothing fancy here, nothing like if you gave me a bunch of designers that were just mid, this would fit right in this bergamot note. Not very great. It's not big anyway, so it's not a big portion of the fragrance, so it doesn't really matter. The ginger does give it some of its zing, which is nice. It'll give it a little bit of brightness and zing. After that, you do get knocked over the head with a generic sweetness, which is also not listed. I was looking at this and I was like, okay, spicy, woody, lavender. Okay. Why am I getting tons of sweetness? Now, obviously, based upon the lineage, which I don't have the whole lineage, but I have a portion of it, I could have put 2 and 2 together. But you never know. This could have been a grown-up version of Born in Roma. So you always have to test, and that's why. So yeah, I'm getting hit over the head with a generic sweetness, which also isn't listed. So anyone looking at the note breakdown, you're gonna be very surprised at what you're getting here, especially if it's your first dip. And if you're just looking at the note breakdown, you're just like, okay. It immediately made me think of this guy right here, the intense version of the scent profile. Like, again, I haven't smelt the original. I have really no inkling or interest of really delving into most of the lineage of this thing. It is more for the channel than for my personal. But as always, any fragrance review, any time taken, and you could say this is a waste of my time. Mark, you should be spending more time on niche indie products. Probably, talk about artistic scents. But this helps me in regards to Valentino, so I have more ammo. If anybody's talking to me about the brand, I can tell you what I think about it. The resume of the two perfumiers now, all this. So going back to the scent profile. Oh, that's sweetness, eh? Within the first few minutes, I could tell that this is going into that sweet synthetic fold, that it's gearing itself for the teens. The intense right here flopped, in my opinion. It did. And now this one honestly doesn't move the needle much from what the intense gave me. Honestly, this isn't really a big difference from what you're getting. So you do get a little spicy nuances, but they aren't that bold. Think cinnamon meets anise. So you're getting a little bit of that, you know, like maybe a little bit of a licorice hue, but a little bit of like a cinnamon. That's about it. And then you're getting like a bubblegummy piece continues to take over the scent, and eventually you start smelling the lavender as the other main piece. So lavender is a pretty big piece in this release, and it's nice to see in the note breakdown. Going into the mid, once this thing dries off for a bit, its sweetness resembled to me like Invictus a bit, with aromatic lavender, the same lavender from the Intense version here. There's a little bit of that woody amber, as basic of a woody amber that you can get. That's your backbone to this fragrance now. The dry down itself isn't great. I felt a little woody nuance from Vetiver, which is not listed, but I think it was in this one if I recall correctly. So Vetiver is I think a big piece from this lineage, this line. Definitely not listed, but it's not, it's a woody nuance. It's not very dense as a vetiver note. You're not going to get, you know, that rootiness, or earthiness that a good vetiver would give you. And I do get tons of Gaiac wood. That is the wood. I was going to say, hey, I was expecting a nondescript cedar base. That's it. So they do list woody notes, but Gaiac is that big piece. The Gaiac in here is probably the flattest I've ever smelt it in a fragrance in a few years now, at least. There is some pretty bad ones out there, but Gaiac is the one nuance that I love about Gaiac wood in some fragrances is it gives you smokiness. So sometimes, you know, like they use it for incense-based fragrances or leathery fragrances where Gaiac can be that substitute that'll give you some smokiness in the fragrance. It does not do that here. It absolutely does not here. It's more about the woody aspect of the wood, some powdery aspects that it gives, and a little bit of a leathery piece. But don't expect fireworks. I'm not saying this is even close to a leathery fragrance, but it does have a little bit of that you're gonna feel or sense that a little bit. But don't expect any fireworks here from this release. So overall, this is for the kids. It can be for casual wear for someone a little older that does like basic scents that are recent releases, right? Jean-Paul Gaultier, Rabanne, Carolina Herrera with the Bad Boy series. This is in that realm, Invictus, things like that. Almost a goofy bottle brigade, I guess, where, you know, they all have like these fancy bottles that kids would like. This is, I don't know, I kind of liked the Uomo bottles, but it's nothing new. It's nothing crazy. It's definitely not worthy of being a new release. It's not like, I don't know, personally for me, you know, when you're a brand like this and you're sitting in a boardroom and you're going to do a brand new release of your Uomo Born in Roma series and you're sitting there in the boardroom and you're releasing something that is very minute as far as changes, I honestly don't know why you would put so much work as a brand when this does nothing for your audience. The only real people that'll buy this is they stumble upon it's the new product, it's shiny, and they will buy it. Collectors, they will buy it. Sadly, I think at this point, like this is possibly, from what I've smelt, this is Valentino's worst release. Like I have to smell more of this Born in Roma. I think they have several of these, so that could get the flag. But for now, the Intense in this one, tomato. Honestly, minor changes, very minor, and you may like one a little bit more and the other a little less. That's roll of the dice. Honestly, it's not worlds better. It's definitely not worthy of a new release, honestly, personally for me. So now let's get into Seasons, Day, Night, Versatility, and Performance. Seasons, versatility is going to be kind of average on this one, so it's going to have a couple seasons into it. I feel like fall, winter, spring. And again, that sweetness kind of bogs everything down. So it has to be more on the cooler side of things, which is fall, spring, and winter. Tweener is best. Fall and spring, I think these kind of fragrances kind of work best in the tweener months. Day or night, I feel like this is more of a nighttime scent for someone that's a little more young, more bubbly, that is looking for maybe a Jean Paul Gaultier or Rabanne. That is going to be your replacement for it. It is going to be a nighttime scent. Versatility, very average. I don't see any huge restrictions. At the same time, it's not super versatile that you can have something like a Prada L'Homme, which is absolutely one of the most versatile fragrances of all time. Performance. The performance, and again, the people that are buying this are probably looking at performance. They're taking it seriously. For me personally, I've always said performance is a very low part of my overall grade of a fragrance. I don't care if you last 3 hours versus 12 hours. You don't need to blow the doors off all the time. And to the kids out there, trying to look for fragrances and fragrance reviews, or reviewers that say, oh, this lasts 20 hours, it lasts days. Why? Please tell me in the comments below why you need a fragrance that's going to last 48 hours on your skin. Really? Are you not showering? What kind of event are you going to that you need a fragrance? Wouldn't you want to do like a different spice of life that you want to shower and wear something different in the day? I don't know. Performance, like it caps out at some point. Longevity was 6 to 9 hours, which is decent. Really for a designer fragrance, I'm looking at 7 to 9, but this is, in the mix at 6 to 9 hours. Projection above average. So, against its competition, it's no slouch. It will do, as far as Extradose, I don't know if that meant, more performance. I think the brief said that they had like more notes into this fragrance, sure. But it's not a big powerhouse for performance. It's just right there in the mix with everything else that's kind of like for the teens. So my final thoughts on this one, very simple, straightforward fragrance review, sampling samples. This isn't anything new, and that's really important. 2025, you're flankering up one of your, I guess, your staple lineup now in the men's aisle. They all smell alike. These Born in Romas. Again, that's 2 now that smell alike. Again, I don't have the experience with these fragrances as much as others, but you got 2 now that are and that's what a flanker is all about, but the DNA is not speaking to me. So the more I smell them, the reviews are still going to be bad. I faintly remember what the intense version of this smells like, but I do have a video on that on my channel, and I'd bet that this isn't that far off of what I described this one as. It was an unboxing though, so it's much more different. There was no dry down version in regards to unboxing. I don't talk about dry downs. As far as Guillaume and Antoine have done much better. This is a huge flop in their resume. It's not a very good thing. It's a stain in their resume as far as artistic side goes, or designer, classics or anything. This is not going to hit any of that. Highly redundant. Redundancy is definitely something I'm thinking of putting on the thumbnail in big red letters. Redundancy. And how much does this cost? 125 to 165 for this. This isn't it. I remember fragrances like this back in the day, and I sound like the old man on the grass telling kids to get off my lawn, but these type of fragrances wouldn't sell at retail. They'd go to discounters and they would just keep chalking them down, and after 6 months, this fragrance used to be retail at $100 for the big bottle, used to go way down to like $60. I remember these Valentinos used to be that cheap. They would drop crazily in the fragrance game, and those were solid. The Uomos were really solid fragrances. These are not it. They are bargain bin. Just because they're popular, they won't last in the bargain bin, but not a very good scent personally for me. As far as the score goes, the sampling samples, you're probably not going to see it right beside its brother here. You never know. I'm a fragrance reviewer, so sometimes things like this do pop up. I'm a collector. I do have most of the Uomo line in regards to not Born in Roma, but the original line, which is great. If I had to give this a score, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10. Tied for one of the worst releases of 2025. The major factors in regards to that is what did it bring to this line? It brought nothing. If it didn't exist, no one would miss it. Those are things that are important. If you are going to flanker up, bring up everything. It is a solidly built scent for the kids. That's basically where I'm at. So if you're a kid, you're probably gonna be like, this is an 8 or a 9 because it goes against the Jean Paul Gaultier's and that. But for me, there's nothing in here that I'm looking at a note. I'm looking at transitions. I'm looking at how it was built. I don't know. 2 out of 10 for me as a final score on this one. And no, Valentino Extradose is not going to catch on. Watch in 2026, everybody's got an Extradose now. It's not catching on. So now that you heard my take, I'd love to see yours in the comments below. Good, bad, and the ugly. You can recommend me others from the Born in Roma line. I believe I have no other sample of the Born in Roma in my sampling pocket over there where I got thousands of them. I do have some Valentinos that I do have samples, but not this line in particular. So I suggest if you want to hear that from me. Obviously, you know my stigma with the line right now, so it might be a hard climb up the hill, so we'll see. And as always, a great report fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your scent wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Have a good one.